So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Married with Female Sakura. So let's start the series. I can't believe this is happening! When Sakura Haruno was about to have a panic attack, she started to perspire and found it difficult to breathe deeply. Ito rushed to her side and did everything she could not to slap her best friend, saying, "What is wrong with you? Stop freaking out! You're ruining your makeup!" Sakura tried to calm herself, and she's been trying for the last half hour. Tintin was rubbing her shoulders, Ino was encouraging her, Hinata was fanning her, and Temari stopped by and offered her a glass of ice water. "Guys, I don't think I can go through with this." Today was a very special day. The girls were at the Yamanaka's house trying to stop a certain pink-haired medic from jumping off a building's roof. The weather was pleasant, the birds were chirping softly, the bees were busy as usual, the Leaf Village residents were going about their daily lives, the flowers were in bloom, the sun wasn't scorching the ground, and the wind brought cool breezes to everyone who was outside to enjoy the lovely morning. If only Ino could experience the same atmosphere in her living room. The reason this day was special was because on this morning, March 28th, Naruto Uzumaki and Sakura Haruno were to be joined in holy matrimony. It was also the young medic's birthday, and Sakura was to turn 26 today, beating Naruto, who was still 25. His birthday was on October 10th, which meant he was about 6 to 7 months younger than his bride. Sakura, Naruto, and the rest of their friends were to celebrate Sakura's birthday at the reception following the wedding. Naturally, Ino Yamanaka, who has earned the title of Miss Club Queen, came up the idea. The platinum blonde threw a party for just about everything. If only one particular rosette would quit being such a pain in the ass, they might actually arrive on time. "What do you mean you can't go through with this?" Tintin inquired, her voice brimming with irritation. "Tintin's right," Temari jumped in. "You've been looking forward to this day since he proposed to you last June. Don't turn into a pile of horseshit now. Be a kunoichi and suck it up." Everyone, with the exception of Hinata, wanted to curse Sakura for being a complete retard at the last minute. "You seriously think that I'm going to let you break my cousin's heart on the day of the wedding? Humph. I'd like to see you try, but I'll drag you up to that altar if I have to." Karen entered the room, instantly recognizing what was going on. Ino gave Hinata a curious look and said, "What? You guys can't talk right here with us?" "We're all her friends. Hinata, I know we may be a bit harsh, but Sakura's a strong girl. We're only trying to help." After noticing how dejected Sakura appeared, "Guys, let me try talking to Sakura for a sec," said the dark blue-haired girl, who was still a little shy, but was improving her speech every day. Tintin nodded in agreement with Hinata's statement. "No, I understand Sakura's situation on a more personal level. I just want to try and talk her through it, that's all." Ino sighed. "Okay, but try to make it quick. We got less than 2 hours to get there, and Sakura's makeup is a bit runny." And then she nodded as Ino, Tintin, Temari, and Karen left the room. When the door closed, Hinata turned back to face the now crying Sakura. "Sakura?" she asked, reaching for the Kleenex and gently wiping away her tears. "I am so sorry, Hinata. I know how you felt about Naruto, and I feel so terrible taking him from you," the Rosette said. shaking her head and sobbing some more. I am so sorry, Hinata. I know how you felt about Naruto, and I feel so terrible taking him from you, Hinata said, astonished to hear such a thing, but also touched by how much her comrade cared for her feelings. No, Sakura, there's no need to cry at all. Sakura looked up at the Hyuga heiress, perplexed. Why not? Hinata took Sakura's hands and looked her in the eye. Sakura, my feelings for Naruto go no further than mere friendship now. I'm married. So Naruto no longer holds that romance part of my heart anymore, she said. I wanted to talk to you because I completely understand how you are feeling. Marriage is all about commitment and trust. And for a person to commit to being with someone for the rest of their lives is a big jump to take. And that's exactly what you and I are going through. Well, what you are and I already experienced, Sakura thought, somewhat shocked. Of course, she was aware of Hinata and Kiba's marriage, having been one of the bridesmaids and hosting the reception. She also knew that you would have to move on from any feelings you may have had for someone else in order to marry another man. Sakura awaited Hinata to get to the point carefully, appreciating how well she spoke while serious. When I prepared to marry Kiba, I was really nervous. I felt like I shouldn't even be there, and I felt out of place. Me and Kiba started to date a few weeks after the Fourth Great Ninja War, and we got married last year, as you already know. But when I got ready to walk down that aisle, I saw Naruto and immediately felt terrible, though when I saw Kiba smiling at me, that's when I realized something very important that I think you should know too. There's nothing wrong with loving someone else. Having confused thoughts about a romantic relationship is normal, and you shouldn't worry too much about it at all. What I'm trying to say is that I know that you're feeling mixed up right now about Sasuke and Naruto. Once again, Sakura was taken aback by Hinata's words and amazed by how accurate they were. Hinata was absolutely correct, and she was experiencing conflicting emotions at the moment. She had been pursuing Sasuke for the majority of her life and knew he was the one for her because he was cool, intelligent, and smart, and he had all the girls chasing after him. He was perfectly entitled to be called Mr. Steal Your Girl. But what exactly did she know about Sasuke? She didn't know as much about his inner turmoil as she did Naruto's, even though he was back in the village and Team 7 had caught up with each other. However, she had already made up her mind when she first met Naruto, and when he first asked her out that she, Sakura Haruno, would never in a million years date Naruto Uzumaki. And yet, here she was, his full-fledged girlfriend/bride, set to become Mrs. Sakura Haruno Uzumaki in less than 2 hours. She was aware of how it began, and when she first became attracted to him. It began when he returned from training with that perverted Sannin named Jiraiya. May he rest in peace. Sakura even noticed a more mature side in him that she had never seen in her life. They had begun dating around the same time Hinata and Kiba did, and after the war, Sakura was so devastated by the loss of Naruto that it affected her deeply. She didn't just want to save his life for the sake of the world. She wanted him alive so that he could fulfill his dream and live a long and happy life. And damn it, he was going to get one as long as she was alive. They had grown close, protecting and respecting each other's dreams and other future visions. When Sasuke returned to the village, Naruto had been avoiding the two of them unless they were doing something that involved all 7 members of the team, including Sai, of course. As Sakura spent time with Sasuke, she noticed that a lot had changed between them. Sasuke was no longer as sympathetic as he once was, which made her believe that they could be great friends. They were both a little cold and heartless when they wanted to be, but otherwise a little nice. Sakura no longer had the 13-year-old starry eyes she had for him before he left the village. Instead, she only looked at him as a friend and was a little repulsed by the way she used to act. She felt sorry for Naruto when Sasuke explained what was happening, so far as why he was avoiding her, and their relationship blossomed from there. "I know it's none of my business," Hinata began, severing Sakura's attachment to her childhood memories. "But do you still love Sasuke-kun the way you did when you were younger?" "Of course not," Sakura responded quickly to that question. Sakura nodded slowly and said, "Yes, then that means that you know why you're doing what you're about to do in a few hours, right?" Sighed. "When I saw Naruto-kun, I felt the need to say no when I was asked if I'd accept Kiba in marriage. All it took was one good look in his eyes to tell me that I was what he truly desired, and the same went for me. I felt utterly disgusted with myself for having second thoughts on the man that's been by my side all my life. Kiba was always there for me, and Kami thank him for all he's done for me too. He supported me when I felt down about never getting Naruto-kun to notice me, even if deep down he had feelings for me himself. Now, that was something I never knew until he asked me out for the first time. I wanted my teammate to be happy, and I also saw an opening for me to grow as a person. Even if Naruto-kun noticed me, I wouldn't have had the same feelings for him as I used to because my heart belonged to Kiba, which led me to being Mrs. Hinata Hyuga Inuzuka, and I regret none of it." Sakura, to say the least, was absolutely proud of her companion for choosing to move on. "I know, Hinata, and I am glad that you decided to move on. I did the same thing too with Sasuke-kun." Hinata smiled and nodded. "Right now when you get ready to walk down that aisle, take a good look at Sasuke-kun. Appreciate him being there to support you moving away from him and to another man that deserved you more than he did. Appreciate his acceptance of you marrying his best friend. Appreciate, and mostly appreciate, the fact that you were able to move on from him, able to move on from a burden that you were going to regret holding later on in life. If I had married Naruto, and you had married Sasuke, do you know what would have happened? We would have regretted not being able to move on from an old crush we had since we were too young to have those types of feelings for someone. We would have regretted downgrading to an old crush instead of upgrading like the strong and powerful kunoichi we are to someone who deserved us better. Then you turn and look at Naruto, the man who would give you the world, the man who would lay down his own life for your safety, the man who wouldn't hesitate to take the life of anyone who so far has looked at you the wrong way. Take into appreciation that you found true happiness in life. Take into appreciation that you didn't choose the weak path in life and married someone who would probably never give you much more than a mere smile. And most of all, take into appreciation that the man that you truly loved never gave up on you, even when you were being selfish, and that you were able to realize your true feelings before it might have been too late. I know full well that I was being selfish. For an example, during the second part of the Chunin exams, I gave Naruto some healing ointment, and I wanted to cheer for him instead of my own teammate. Kiba-kun was more knocked up than Naruto-kun was, yet, me being selfish, I gave the ointment to him instead of the one who needed it the most. Sakura was crying again, and Hinata stood to hug her. "You're right, Hinata. I'd been so damn selfish and completely shut Naruto out like he was an outcast when he treated me like I was a trophy. I, along with thousands of others, owe him our lives. Hinata rubbed her back in a soothingly manner. Just don't beat yourself up over it, Sakura. We were young and didn't understand what true love meant back then. Even if we thought we truly loved someone else, we could never be happy knowing that we put ourselves on a path of a one-sided relationship. It'd be better off if we learned to love the one that has always loved us. Sakura nodded and broke the hug first. She let out a shocked chuckle. Thank you so much, Hinata. Not only have you woken me up to reality, but I am so very proud of the fact that you were able to talk me through this so bravely, and I must say, I am quite shocked that it turned out to be you who I am getting the pep talk from. I am very impressed by your progress, Hinata. The Hyuga heiress blushed bashfully and accepted her thanks. The two girls hugged once more and jumped when they heard sniffles coming from outside the room. Sakura went to open the door, and down came tumbling the rest of the bridesmaids. Karen exclaimed, "That was so beautiful, Hinata! I'm a bit jealous that you were able to talk her out of it instead of me, but I must say, that was the best pep talk I've ever heard when it comes to marriage," Ino said. Tenten and Temari both exclaimed, "Beautiful, absolutely beautiful," together. When Hinata blushed once more and stammered a little, she said, we'd better hurry up then. We've got less than an hour, and we wouldn't want our bride to be late for her Hokage rewrite." Ino moaned. "Great! You were doing so well earlier, Hinata." Sakura stood up for her friend, saying, "Hey! At least she had the guts to talk me out of my bullshit. Now hurry up and fix my face. I got a wedding to attend." Ino grinned at Sakura's bitchiness, pleased to see her old friend was back and operating. Tenten shouted, "All right, let's get a move on, ladies." As they drove to the wedding location for the cherry blossom forest a few miles outside the village after they had finished loading the car, and Temari carrying the bride on her shoulder, complaining that she might get her dress dirty. Naruto, the Naruto Uzumaki, was out of it today. For the first time in a long time, Naruto Uzumaki was terrified. Naruto Uzumaki, the seventh Hokage, the savior of the village and the rest of the world, was the focus of some very surprised groomsmen and a horrified best man. Naturally, Shikamaru was the first to notice that Naruto was pacing back and forth on the small area in front of the altar like a coast guard on duty. As he approached the groom, he could hear him mumbling incoherently as if he were insane, and he was wiping his face with so much sweat that he soaked the entire paper towel Shikamaru had given him. Shikamaru realized that whatever was going on in Naruto's tiny brain was too difficult for him to handle, so he did what any other person would do, and went in search of the other groomsmen, but primarily, he went looking for the best man. Shikamaru discovered Sai, Sasuke, and Neji huddled together in a group discussing how annoying their wives were, while Kiba was just standing around complaining that they should appreciate their wives' obnoxiousness. He grinned as everyone else piled on Kiba, because Hinata was easier to deal with than their wives, but that could wait for another time. "Hey guys, I know this is going to sound troublesome, but Naruto's over there having a nervous breakdown. So, have any of you seen Irika-sensei?" Everyone shrugged, and Kiba moaned, clearly irritated that Irika had just left them a short while ago, telling them where he went before he left. "He went to see if he could help out with any ushering," Kiba said. "Yeah, You should find him soon before the doofus cause an uproar in the crowd, said Sasuke with a haughty sigh. Shikamaru rolled his eyes and left them to talk about skin care. He quickly spotted him near the ceremony's entrance, helping an elderly woman to her seat. When he finished restraining her from drop-kicking her feisty cat, he called him over. Araka-sensei! Their former teacher heard his name being called and hurried to where Shikamaru was standing. What's up, Shikamaru? The lazy genius simply pointed to the nervous freak show pacing in front of the altar. Oh, Araka replied. Why didn't you try talking to him? Because you'd be better at calming him than me. Besides, it'd be so a drag trying to keep him calm. Shikamaru rolled his eyes. As Nara left to join the other groomsmen, Araka grimaced and made the decision to act as a good father figure and assist his old son. When he arrived, Araka pulled Naruto by his collar to a clearing close to the ceremony. He wasn't concerned about Rouge Ninja or anything similar because there were ANBUs stationed all around them, concealed in the Japanese cherry blossom forest. Araka braced himself for anything Naruto had to say after noticing that he appeared to want to vent. Okay, Naruto, what's bothering you? Araka asked him. I'm so freaking scared right now. I mean, I know we've been dating for around 10 years now, and we probably could have gotten married sooner, but what if she says no? What if she still has feelings for Sasuke? Naruto was speechless. What if she has feelings for that jerk Sai? Araka was forced to punch Naruto in the head, causing a tiny bump to form. What the hell is wrong with you, Why are you so nervous all of a sudden? She said yes when you proposed to her, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be here in this expensive ass tux waiting for your bride to be here, which she will be in about an hour. I don't know. I guess I just let my doubts get the best of me and I started panicking. Naruto shrugged. Listen, Araka, all I want is for Sakura-chan to be happy. It's a huge shocker that after all these years of rejection, she finally notices me and is about to be my wife in less than an hour. It's both exciting and scary at the same time, Araka said, a little taken aback that Naruto would have such doubts. But everyone knew that Naruto was willing to sacrifice himself for the now famous pink-haired medic. When he was titled Hokage, almost everyone was present to watch the title pass from Kakashi to Naruto, and they had all seen the looks Naruto would give Sakura at the party after the titling ceremony, or whatever it is called, had taken place. Do you seriously think that she'd still have feelings for Sasuke, or even begin to have feelings for Sai-Dash? It's a possibility, Araka-sensei, a strong one at that. Sasuke, he's so cool and laid back. All the women love him. He's been eye candy ever since I can remember. Sakura was one of his #1 fangirls, and then there was this sudden switch up that made me almost doubt accepting her feelings for me as far as dating goes. The first time, I rejected her because I knew that it was a lie. But then, after the war, it felt more heartfelt than the last time, and that confused the hell out of me. I brought Sasuke team back to the village just to find out that Sakura wasn't in love with him anymore, and that she was in love with me instead. I was so confused, and I still am to this very point of time. If that's so, then why did you propose to her in the first place? Why did you accept her confession the second time? You said it yourself. Her second confession sounded more heartfelt than the first time. So that meant that you saw with your own eyes signs that Sakura's heart was changing to your direction. Irika sighed as he slowly took in and processed what his former student had said. He knew that Naruto still didn't understand how people's hearts could change, which wasn't shocking at all because he was so accustomed to using his notorious talk no jutsu to pursuance. Yeah, but how? Araka sighed once more. Listen, Naruto, I know you're used to talking the hell out of people to get them to change their views on life, but it doesn't always work that way. You've witnessed it yourself. Some people just either can't change or they learn to change by themselves. Take Lady Tsunade, for example. When you first met her, you said that she didn't want to become the Hokage, but without you begging her, she ended up becoming the fifth Hokage. And why do you think she did? Irika responded on his behalf. Because she changed her heart by herself, she had her own personal reasons for deciding to become the Hokage. Her grandfather was the first Hokage, her granduncle was the second Hokage, her sensei was the third Hokage, and her deceased boyfriend and brother's dreams were to become the Hokage. All five of them wanted to protect the most important thing in this village, that being the will of fire. By her relatives carrying the will of fire within them, it encouraged her to protect what her relatives did, and found our village just as important to her as it was to them. She changed her heart based on something personal, and that is exactly what Sakura did. Naruto gave Irika a second confused look. What do you mean by that? Irika murmured. I don't know Sakura's feelings, but from what I've learned, she's been chasing after Sasuke for years and years on end now, but she stopped. And even I noticed when she did, she stopped being Sasuke's fangirl when she started taking your feelings into account. She stopped chasing after Sasuke's heart when she realized that it was you who had been there for her, you who she'd give her life for, you who she'd sacrifice her own happiness for, you who she'd save first if it ever came down to a decision of such. And it was you who her heart truly belonged to. You don't have to worry about anything, Naruto. I know. I just know that she'll say yes. How could she not? And if she does wind up saying no, which I highly doubt she would, you said it yourself, you just want her to be happy. And there's nothing wrong with being selfless. Well, maybe except in your case. You need to start taking your own happiness into consideration a lot more. You act like a blood type 0 donor. You give everything and can only take a little back in return. Naruto said, feeling both shocked and touched by Irika's words. Thanks a lot, Irika-sensei. I knew I made the best choice on making you my best man, he said as he walked back towards the ceremony. Oh, and don't worry about my happiness, he said again without turning around. I already took that into consideration when I asked Sakura to marry me. I knew that it was only her that I wanted to spend my life with, and thanks to you, I feel a lot more confident than what I did before on what I want her answer to be when Kakashi-sensei asks the question. Irika said with a proud smile as he ran to catch up with Naruto, giving him a playful nudge to show that he appreciated the fact that he could help. They talked about nothing important for about 25 minutes before Sai ran to them, about to faint from the panic he was in. Naruto was the first to notice. Sai, what's going on? She's here. Ugly is here. Sakura became a little anxious and, thanks to Ino, refused to enter the garden arch without her bouquet of flowers. You better snap out of your trance forehead. I grew those specially for you. Sakura grinned a little and turned to see Hinata, who was supposed to enter just before the flower girl. Hinata was Kakashi and Anko's daughter, Nanami, a beautiful little girl with her mother's hair and Kakashi's lazy eyes. Unfortunately, she did inherit her father's indolence, and to make matters worse, she was only 7 years old. Later, Sakura would discuss that with him. Remember, Sakura, look at Sasuke, appreciate him as nothing more than a friend and appreciate you moving on from a path of a 13-year-old's fantasy land. Then look at Naruto and accept and appreciate that he's done and will always do anything for you and that he loves you. Same goes vice versa, because you do the same for him, right? Sakura nodded assumingly, and Temari smiled. Good, now go get that Hokage and make him yours. Everyone blushed at Temari's words, and she herself realized how inappropriate they could have been. I mean, go get him, tiger. Ino giggled, not minding the dirty talk at all. Or should we say, Vixen? I can imagine him calling you that in bed dash. Sakura covered the little girl's ears and snarled. Pig! Ino laughed and said, Look, you're already growling like a vixen. Sakura blushed wildly and turned to face the wedding music that started playing, indicating that Karen should enter first. It's starting, so chill out. Sakura warned and repositioned herself. Karen walked down the aisle with Sasuke. The bridesmaids were wearing peach-colored turtleneck dresses that had splits going up each side that reached up to their upper thigh, giving their groomsmen a run for their money. Their heels were plain clear slippers that were open-toed to show off their cream-colored toenails. They wore pearl necklaces and pearly earrings that glimmered in the morning sunlight. The groomsmen wore black tuxedos with different color handkerchiefs for each one. For Sasuke, it was navy blue. Neji had a white one, Kiba wore a red one, Sai wore a purple one, and Shikamaru wore a green one. Karen smirked as she caught a small tint of red on her husband's face as they neared the point where they separate. You look handsome, she told him. Sasuke huffed and gave in. You look pretty. Karen giggled at the small tint becoming a full-blown blush on his cheeks. You're so cute when you get lost on how to compliment me. Sasuke hugged arrogantly and turned his head forward. Don't push it, Karen. The redhead only smiled, and they parted their own ways. Temari came next. She was in the same predicament as Karen, and Shikamaru called her, Sakura, and the other bridesmaids problematic for choosing the clothes. Temari responded, Oh, you know you love it when I show off my legs, don't you, babe? Shikamaru became very angry at his wife's statement, and she giggled sweetly. I'll see you after the ceremony, the blonde woman with the ponytail said as they left. It was a completely different situation with Ino and Sai now. Sai simply looked at her and said, Kumph, as they slowly walked down the aisle. Ino laughed angrily. Sai? Aren't you going to compliment me? How do I look? Sai didn't answer right away, instead continuing to look forward and wear his fake smile. As their journey came to an end, he finally decided to stop making fun of her, saying, You know, that dress really does complement your skin tone, and you look absolutely stunning in those high heels. I like how you left your hair down for this occasion, though I love your ponytail as well, honey. As Ino parted ways, her face flushed. Temari and Karen noticed the scene, wiggled their eyebrows at the platinum blonde, and giggled when she elbowed them both. Tintin and Neji were the next to come down the aisle. Tintin chose to wear her hair up in a single bun rather than her usual twin buns, and she had 2 strands of hair running down the sides of her face. Neji blushed wildly, and was shocked by her appearance. Tintin smirked mischievously and said, "Oh, come on, Niji. You've seen me in much less clothing. Don't get all excited now." Which only made Niji's face redder before he tried to shake it off with a sneer in reply. "Well, you look absolutely beautiful this morning, honey, and I like your hair. I love you." Tintin was on the verge of tears because Niji had never been the type to compliment her appearance. Perhaps it was the love in the air that made Niji act so kind, or perhaps he was finally over his brooding stage. "I love you too, Niji." She didn't catch the small smile he gave her as they parted ways down the aisle. Kiba and Hinata were the last bridesmaid and groomsmen to descend. They gave each other compliments as they went down the island and parted ways, excited to get together for some cuddle time after the ceremony. It was then that Hinata realized that everyone who had participated in the wedding ceremony, that is, the bridesmaids and groomsmen, had gotten together and gotten married after the war. Now it was Naruto and Sakura's turn. When Nanami walked down the aisle throwing out a mixture of red camellias and more, Sakura, petals, everyone. Odd. Kakashi and Anko grinned as their daughter ran up and jumped into Tintin's arms. The weapon user considered herself fortunate to be a ninja because she quickly realized what Nanami was trying to do, or else she probably would have dropped her. By accident, of course, because she respected Kakashi and Anko too much to simply drop their child. Then, as the live band began to play, "Here comes the bride," everyone turned back to the entrance. They all gasped when what appeared to be an angel passed through the curtains of the garden arch. Kazashi walked his daughter down the aisle, grinning at the pure joy on her face. "You do well now, my little cherry blossom. I know that Naruto will treat you well, so you should do the same for him," he said, causing Sakura's eyes to water. "Thanks, Dad, and don't worry, I'll protect Naruto with my life, just as he does me," Sakura said, blinking away her tears to avoid ruining her makeup. When Naruto saw his Sakura-chan, his mouth went dry. She was, to put it mildly, beautiful. He was unable to keep his mouth shut, and Irika gave up after it opened for the 5th time. There she was, strolling down the aisle wearing a gorgeous wedding gown. It was a white mermaid-style dress that perfectly accentuated her curves. Not that he would have objected otherwise. She had gained weight after the war, her hips had widened somewhat, and her B-cup breasts had swelled to a healthy DDD cup size. However, he does recall her telling him that Tsunade would begin training her body to look more feminine when she was old enough, and boy did the old hag not let him down either. He smirked gratifyingly when Sakura gave those men her famous death glares, which she most likely acquired from Lady Tsunade. When Sakura finally made it to him, he was unable to control his laughter as he saw her gorgeous emerald green eyes staring up at him from beneath the train that he would get to pull back. Irika fanned him, and Sakura grinned sweetly, saying, "Thank you, Naruto-kun. You don't look so bad yourself. You look really handsome, and she wasn't lying either." Naruto was wearing an all-white tuxedo with a black lapel. What she thought was really cute was that his tie was blue to match his cerulean ocean eyes. Sakura's brows knitted together as she considered something. "Where's the orange?" she murmured, and Naruto whispered back, "Well, my boxers and socks are orange. Oh, and my handkerchief is orang too." Sakura gave him a warm smile before he took her hands. As he got ready to speak, Kakashi cleared his throat and said, "Who provides this woman to be married to this man?" When Hayashi got forward and stated, "I, Kizashi Haruno, give away my daughter." Kakashi nodded and went on. "We are gathered here to celebrate the very special love between Sakura and Naruto by joining them in marriage. We all need and want to love and be loved, and the highest form of love between two people is within a monogamous, committed relationship. Sakura and Naruto, your marriage today is the public and legal joining of your souls that have already been united as one in your hearts. Thank you for being here, friends and family of Ms. Sakura Haruno and Mr. Naruto Uzumaki, also known as Lord Seventh. Marriage will give you a new setting in which to live your lives together, facing the world and life together, hand in hand. It will help you grow as a person, define you as a couple, and strengthen your love for one another. To succeed, you will need to have a strong sense of humor, courage, patience, and strength. Therefore, make marriage a time when you wake up every morning and fall in love with each other again." Then Konohamaru appeared with a pillow and a red string. Kakashi then said, "As this knot is tied, so are your lives now bound, woven into this cord, imbued into its very fibers, are all the hopes of your friends and family, and of yourselves, for your new life together. With the fashioning of this knot do I tie all the desires, dreams, love, and happiness wished here in this place to your lives for as long as love shall last." With a smile on Naruto's face, the red string of destiny, Sakura also grinned, recalling the time Naruto had tied her to a red string to prevent her from being separated while on a mission. "I'll keep Neji in check," Naruto said playfully as Kakashi completed tying the knot around their hand. At this time, we'd like to take a moment of silence to remember those who are not here with us. Even though they are not here physically, they are a part of the foundation that makes Sakura and Naruto the people they are today. May we always remember Kushina Uzumaki, Minata Uzumaki, or Lord Fourth, Master Jiraiya, Hiruzen Sarutobi, or Lord Third, Asuma Sarutobi, and many others. Please cherish the memories of these friends and family, and all others who live on in our hearts," Kakashi said, stepping back to his podium to continue. He then realized that they kind of needed their hands for later parts of the ceremony, so he excused the crowd and untied their hands, feeling a little ashamed for not realizing sooner. However, Sakura and Naruto simply said that he was fine, and he went on. As he said, "Now, Naruto, as you look into Sakura's eyes, please say your vows." Naruto grinned. "I, Naruto Uzumaki, take you, Sakura Haruno, as my wife, to share everything that I am and have, for all time to come, and I promise to do everything in my power to keep my love as deep and strong as it is today. Your love is my anchor, your trust is my strength, and I will give you all of my love from now until heaven ends." She wanted to cry so badly, but a certain pig with a ponytail didn't bring the waterproof makeup that Sakura had sent her with her money. That was the last time Sakura would give Ino money to buy anything unless she was going with her. Sakura quickly pushed those thoughts aside and smiled sweetly at her groom, who was always such a Romeo with her. "You make my life complete," Sakura said, about to burst into tears. "Sakura, as you look into Naruto's eyes, please say your vows," said Kakashi, looking at Sakura with his eyes closed. Sakura blushed and looked directly at Naruto, smiling sweetly. Naruto Uzumaki, as your wife, I promise to care for you, trust your love, be responsive to your needs, communicate my feelings, and behave in a way that shows my love and respect. I say these things because I love you and want to live out the days of my life with you. I take you as my husband, to share with you the laughter, to kiss away the tears, and to give you all the love in my heart as long as we both shall live. Naruto said, his eyes watering. He had been dying to hear her say those words for a very long time. So freaking long time, and had been thinking about her whenever he thought of protection, love, or anything along those lines. He wanted to kiss her so badly, but that would have to wait until they both say, I do. Everyone was crying uncontrollably by this point. Even the callous Sasuke Uchiha, Niji Hyuga, and Sai shed a few tears, and Tsunade, Mabuki, Kazashi, Arika, and Shizun wept with pride that their student/daughter was getting married to the man they all knew would show her love and affection. Kakashi recovered from his tears and went on, saying, the ring is an ancient symbol, so perfect and simple, it has no beginning and has no end. It is round like the sun, like the moon, like the eye, like arms that embrace. It is a circle, for love that is given comes back round again. Konohamaru then appeared with a ring pillow, and Sakura and Naruto each took a ring and slid it on each other's fingers. Will you, Naruto Uzumaki, cherish Sakura Haruno as your lawful wedded wife, protecting her and tending to her needs through illness and disappointment? Kakashi urges them to hold hands as they get ready for the declaration of consent. Says Naruto, I will. Will you strive to understand her, giving her comfort when she seeks it from you? Will you try never to say in anger that which you wouldn't say in friendship? And when each night comes, will you go to sleep with thanks for her presence at your side and renewed love for her in your heart? Says Naruto, I will. Will you, Sakura Haruno, cherish Naruto Uzumaki as your lawful wedded husband, protecting him and tending to his needs through illness and disappointment? Says Sakura, I will. Will you strive to understand him, giving him comfort when he seeks it from you? Will you try never to say in anger that which you wouldn't say in friendship? And when each night comes, will you go to sleep with thanks for his presence at your side and renewed love for his in your heart? Says Sakura, I will, replied. May your love be one based on freedom, for though our hands may touch, it's our hearts that hold. When you hold love within your heart, you radiate a light which shall brighten all the days of your life and beyond. Everything we truly love becomes a part of us forever. So, take your time with each other. Let your love seed grow and mature with the seasons to provide you with warmth, serenity, joy, and acceptance throughout all the years of your marriage. Love is not a wall. It is a bridge. Love does not confine. It sets you free. It leads, as a pathway, winding to places unknown and mysterious, with love to light the way. You can meet any challenge together. Kakashi grinned as he continued. Sakura and Naruto, you have expressed your love to one another through toughness and gentleness, and the commitment and promises you have just made. You have kissed 1,000 times, maybe more, but today the feeling is new. No longer simply partners and best friends. You have become husband and wife, and can now seal the agreement with a kiss today. Your kiss is a promise. It is with these in mind that I pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Naruto was the first to enter, grabbing Sakura by the waist and dipping her in a passionate, long-lasting kiss that lasted for roughly 10 seconds. He then slowly lifted the train from over her face and grinned at her beauty. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to present for the first time Mr. and Mrs. Naruto and Sakura Uzumaki, exclaimed Kakashi, who was ecstatic to be finished with the tiresome, poetic art. He also sighed, relieved that this would be the last time he would officiate at a wedding. He was so happy and relieved that his two teammates were finally married, even though all he wanted to do was curl up with Anko and Nanami and call it a day. He knew that he, Yamato, Sai, and a few others were almost ready to gather around the newlyweds and yell in their faces, "I told you so!" The audience continued to cheer. Some whistled. Some formed their own little group of emotional Kleenex passers, and some simply suppressed their feelings as best they could. If you guess Sasuke and Neji, then hoop-de-why-dio. They're always brooding over something and prefer to stay in the background. You're absolutely right. Then there are friends who understand what formal means, and there are friends who don't. For instance, the three wild cards in their group, Kiba, Ino, and Rock Lee, came up and picked up Naruto and Sakura. Before anyone knew it, they had a carriage ready, and they put Naruto and Sakura inside. Now, ladies and gents, if you want to meet with our lovely freshly born couple, then come right on down to the lake near Team 7's training ground. However, please check the lists we have posted on the trees to see if your name is on the list to attend. If your name is not on the list and you try to get in, I would like to let you know that our lovely A&B guards will deal with you personally. If you would like to catch the groom and bride before they leave, they'll be right outside. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Ino ran outside with the crowd, concealing their inner excitement and joy with the worst poker faces ever. When Kiba, Rock Lee, Sasuke, and Neji put the carriage down by the water at the lake and told them they could now get off their joyride, Naruto and Sakura both walked out a little unsteadily because someone thought it was a great idea to do the dumb crap instead of just buying a horse and carriage. Come on, you two. You guys are ninja. You're too young to be hurling over a simple shoulder ride. Besides, I'm sure the ride wasn't that bad, said Naruto and Sakura to Lee. The others also gave him the "you've got to be fucking kidding me" look. Of course, Lee came up with it, saying that youth has no limits. We must carry them off into the beautifying sunness of their youthfulness. Okay, guys, I'm gonna build up a couple of changing rooms so that you guys can get out of these uncomfortable clothings. I suggest you go in pairs, since I'm about out of chakra. No thanks to Lee and his retarded just married carriage of youth. Yamato arrived shortly after they had finished. Lee looked completely perplexed. What did I do wrong? Daisini said that youth dash. Tintin intervened and said, she's right, Lee, but Tamari, try not to threaten him too much. He is my teammate, and our sensei was a little different from everyone else's. Tamari calmed down and gave Lee a final death glare before they left for the changing room with Shikamaru. Karen stretched and tugged at her clothes, saying, "You?" Finally, out of these itchy stockings. I swear I'm never wearing these again. She pulled Sasuke into the changing room because he was leaning against a tree, thinking about Kami knows what. Oh, no you don't, Naruto said, closing the door behind him. But I'm tired. I want to take a nap. Sakura pouted. But I'm tired. I want to take a nap. Naruto smirked as he picked up his bride and led her to their changing room. But I'm tired. I want to take a nap, Sakura said, catching the scrolls he tossed here and reading them. One was for her wedding clothes, and the other was to summon her reception attire. When she looked up, she saw Naruto half done stripping, and she blushed when she saw his rock-hard six-pack and his manly pecs. The image of her husband's arm and back muscles, and how they flexed every time he moved them, made her blush, but it vanished as soon as she reached his waist. What the hell are you wearing, Naruto? Sakura was furious at her husband's foolishness and asked, When did you think I was going to notice them? Naruto simply scratched the back of his head, completely oblivious to why his actions were so embarrassing. The young Nanadame turned to see what his wife was talking about, followed her gaze to his boxers, and blushed sheepishly. Why on earth would you wear ramen boxers on our wedding day? He was somewhat offended. Well, I'm sorry for wanting to be Mr. Lucky today. These just so happens to buy my lucky shorts because I wanted everything to go nicely as planned today. So I put these on. Besides, you of all people should understand my love for ramen. Are you discriminating me based on my most precious thing in life? Sakura blushed with shame. Well, no, but don't you think that it's just a little weird that you wear those to a wedding? Naruto glanced back at his boxers and sighed. Well, no, not really. I mean, I've just recently seen a wedding where the grooms wore high-waisted pants just to show off their superhero socks that they wore at the wedding, and my boxers weren't going to show anyways, so I didn't see the big deal in wearing them. Well, at least you didn't wear a Speedo. Look, I'm sorry, Naruto. I shouldn't have talked about your underwear like that, Sakura said, feeling guilty for both her anger at Naruto for his choice of underwear and for whoever the wife was at this wedding that Naruto saw. Perhaps she didn't know, or perhaps it was just her being picky. No, you're right. I don't know what I was thinking, me, a grown man, the 7th Hokage, at my own wedding, wearing some premature ramen boxers, Naruto said, shaking his head. Sakura felt a great deal of shame, so she got up and went to embrace her husband. You know what? I actually think they look kind of cute on you, Naruto said, his face brightening with joy. Really? Yes, really, and babe? Sakura said with a dirty smile on her face. They make your butt look fantastic. Now that's what I'd call a Konohadakure's booty, he growled. You naughty vixen. Sakura giggled innocently and said, Oh, but you love me anyways. You like it when I get naughty, don't you? Naruto blushed again, and Sakura laughed heartily. They haven't actually done it yet, but she'd always tease him whenever she'd get the chance. She was going to pay a large debt. This is how their arguments always end. Naruto and Sakura knew from the beginning that their relationship would be rocky because, for starters, their personalities were similar, which could either be a good or bad thing depending on how fate wants to play her game. On some days, Sakura could put up with Naruto's foolishness and would occasionally break up with him. On other days, she would beat him senselessly, and those arguments would usually end with them acting like hot-headed shinobi and sparring it out, or they would just flirt and act giddy and innocent until the heated tension subsided. Despite all of their nonsense, however, they love each other too much to allow a small, pointless argument to end their relationship. Yeah, you guys were in there longer than the rest of us, so we just decided to set up things before you came out. But you weren't in there that long, Tintin said, striking a dramatic pose with her arms to display the lovely scenery that Yamato had clearly prepared for them. After they had finished getting dressed, they left their cabin to find everything set up. The actual reception was to be held in this enormous cabin, which had lovely interiors, well-polished floors, and gorgeous themed colors. Prior to the wedding, Ino had taken the time to create some scrolls with pink, yellow, orange, red, and purple decorations that you would hardly find at any other wedding decor store. On the far right side of the room from the center barnyard doorway entrance, there were orange and red tables and chairs set up where guests would sit, and on the far left side of the room were those involved in the wedding and decoration, as well as close friends and family, and of course, the bride and groom. Since the decorations and other items required a lot of time, effort, and money, Sakura and Naruto let other villagers in, but it was first come, first served. The dance floor was in the middle, and the DJ table was on the far back wall from it, in front of the food serving line. Kiba was supposed to DJ for them tonight, and everyone hoped he would do well. The lake view was lovely outside as well. Since the venue was already lovely, there wasn't much decor. Instead, there were only spaces set up for various outdoor games, such as dodgeball and other things. The majority of the reception would take place indoors anyhow. When it came to fun activities and other things, Ino was nice and sweet, but when it came to the game she picked for the bride and groom, no one could say they didn't expect it. Ino was the worst hostess ever, but she was also the best because she gave emotional speeches about herself and the rest of their friends while they were growing up with Sakura and Naruto. Ino announced that one of her favorite games was the all-too-famous "Remove the garter from the bride." In the middle of the floor was a chair, and Sakura reluctantly sat there while watching as Kiba and Lee blindfolded Naruto and spun him around 3 times before bringing him down to the floor directly in front of Sakura's skirt. She was wearing a 2-piece white outfit, with the top being a sleeveless crop top and the skirt being long, white, and flowing with a high split up one side. Naruto blushed wildly as he started to feel on Sakura's legs. "Ino!" Sakura growled at her florist friend, who was standing next to her. "What? Don't tell me you're not enjoying this," Sakura said, blushing as she felt Naruto's now short, shaggy hair run up one of her legs. She cringed as he went a little too far up past her garter. Naruto got tired of searching and used his tongue to find it on her upper left thigh. He then used his teeth to pull the garter all the way down, past her beaded barefooted sandals, and off her leg entirely. He then threw it back to the unmarried men in the crowd behind him, including Choji, who cheated by using his super expansion jutsu to catch the garment. The charm did work though, because he gained a beauty's attention and phone number during the party. Neji and Sasuke positioned 2 chairs back to back in the center of the dance floor, and Naruto and Sakura traded shoes. Well, Naruto took one of Sakura's flats in case her barefooted sandals became too uncomfortable, before Ino called out Kiba to pose the questions. This was the next game they played after everyone had finished their delectable meal prepared by Ichiraku and Ayam, with a little assistance from Choji. "Okay guys, so the game goes out like this. I, or any of you can give me a question to ask, and I'll ask. Now, Naruto and Sakura should each have one of their own shoes and one of each other's shoes. Got it? Okay." So now, when I asked the question, either Naruto or Sakura would either hold up their shoe or the other shoe based on who does who. You guys got that? Everyone was cheering along, and Kiba had a devil onto his face. Alrighty then, Akumaru will choose a question from the bowl. You guys pass down a piece of napkin or paper with you question on it, and I'll read whoever's question Akumaru picks. But I'll ask the first question. Let the embarrassment begin. The crowd laughed, and some gasped in surprise as Naruto and Sakura held up Naruto's shoe. It was true that Sakura was still a beginner in the kitchen, and that Naruto would end up preparing the majority of their breakfasts in the morning. Kiba cleared his throat and cracked his neck, saying, "Okay, so who makes the better breakfast?" Akumaru took a folded note out of the bowl with his paw and handed it to Kiba. The audience gasped at how adorable the Inuzuka's relationship with his Nikin was, and Kiba laughed as he read the question. All right. Here we go, guys. Who is the better shower singer? Naruto and Sakura erupted into a fit of laughter and held up Sakura's shoe. One morning, while she was singing Diamond by Rihanna in the shower, and Naruto couldn't help but record her voice, which sounded like an angel. However, when Sakura heard Naruto singing This Is Why I Love You by Major, she threw herself to the ground in a fit of laughter, remembering how she had nicknamed him the Screaming Golfer for the entire month. Ino, also remembering the nickname, came up to the mic. Okay, some here knew about the Screaming Golfer and wrote this damn quest. She laughed, and Sai got to his feet while giggling uncontrollably and clutching his stomach. It was me, he muttered in between chuckles. Kiba took 5 minutes to stop giggling before reading the note, while Akumaru grabbed the following question. OHHHH. The next query. Who is more obstinate? Okay, since my dear friend Ino here decided to make me the caller, I'm changing the rules. Kiba grinned maliciously as Sakura and Naruto both huffed arrogantly and held up each other's shoes. I will ask a close friend or a family member to respond on their behalf if I feel it is essential. Kakashi-sensei. You're up. The well-known Jonin was taken aback and really didn't want to respond to that question. He slowly stood up and walked to the DJ table with Kiba, saying, well, The fact that both the bride and groom were giving him death glares didn't help either. Well, let's see, when it comes to training, I'd say Naruto. Naruto growled at him, and Kakashi jumped. While Sakura did go off and find ways to get stronger, Naruto did the same. However, he, in contrast to Sakura, would complain about the training methods, and the person training him would literally have to come up with a plan Z. Other than that, please don't beat me into a pulp, but I'd have to give this one to you, Sakura. The rosette blushed and gave Kakashi a playful death glare while everyone laughed. She couldn't be too upset with him, though, because he was speaking the truth. Sasuke wrote that question. Kiba cleared his throat and read, All right, now the next question is, who made the first move? Akumaru took up the next page. Everyone in the town was aware of Naruto's crush on Sakura and his advances on her, as both Naruto and Sakura were ready to show off Naruto's shoe. After looking over the next request, Kiba chuckled and said, All right, everybody, since it's getting late, let's make this the last one. Who is the better kisser? Naruto and Sakura blushed beet red. The better kisser? They both blushed harder, remembering their make-out sessions they'd have, Sakura blushed and held up Naruto's shoe, since he was usually the dominant one when they do their tongue battling. Naruto, on the other hand, was quick to put up Sakura's shoe, mainly because every time they kissed, her mouth would taste like fruit. Ino, being the dirty woman she is, grabbed the mic and cheered them on. Well, let's test that theory out, shall we? Some parents covered their children's faces, and Shikamaru had to slap Kakashi and Anko upside their heads for allowing Nanami to gaze at the scene. Naruto wasted no time in leaping out of his chair to grab Sakura by the waist and kiss her. Sakura was startled and wriggled a little, still uneasy with this much public affection, but she eventually relaxed and kissed back. Well, she watches us do it all the time, Shikamaru said. Shikamaru sighed and left after Anko objected, saying, Sorry I got involved, man. I put myself through a drag, he grumbled. Sakura whispered, I love you, and Naruto smiled and kissed her forehead, adding, I love you too. They then gave each other a tender embrace as the audience applauded, some whistled, and the Kleenex passers reunited. When the reception began to wind down, it was around 9 p.m. There weren't many people there anyway, just Naruto and Sakura, of course, Sasuke, Sai, Ino, Shikamaru, Chuji, Niji, Tenten, Rock Lee, Hinata, Kiba, with Akumaru of course, Shino, Kakashi, Anko, Nanami, Guy, Kurenai, Tsunade, Konohamaru and his team, Gaara, Temari, and Kankuro. They enjoyed the fact that only a small number of villagers were permitted until 7 p.m. They had Kakashi, Anko, and Nanami playing in the shallow area of the water, while Chuji and Shino were cooking pork chops, hot dogs, burgers, and ribs on the grill. Konohamaru was watching Gaara construct things out of sand, while Moegi and Udon were watching Kankuro perform puppet tricks. Everyone was grossed out by their speedos. Hinata and Kiba were walking Akumaru around the lake. Kurenai and Tsunade were off in the lake, talking about girly things and pig men, and Shikamaru was busy massaging Temari's back. At the reception, Io spoke about how she grew up with Sakura as a best friend and sister, and Irika talked about how he helped raise Naruto, how they had a special bond, and how he taught Sakura at the academy. He then left to go talk with Shizune, which made Tsunade smile because she had already told her assistant about their little relationship. They were both invited, and they did come, but they left a little early for their date. After stopping Sakura and turning her to face him, Naruto smiled at her and took out his phone from his pocket. He started playing a song, and Sakura's eyes widened instantly. He started playing Never Knew I Needed by Neo, which he had played during a live jazz band performance on their first official date, and she fell in love with it immediately. He put the phone on a nearby tree stump and approached her, asking, May I have this dance, Mrs. Uzumaki? Yes, Mr. Uzumaki, you may dance with me. Naruto smiled and drew her to him by her waist. Sakura was still wearing the outfit she wore to the reception, and Naruto was wearing a white muscle shirt and orange swim trunks. Sakura wrapped her arms around his neck, and Naruto wrapped his arms around her waist as they danced to the beat of the song. Sakura giggled sweetly, feeling as though she were dreaming at the moment. Because of the way you altered my plans, for being the ideal diversion, for the manner in which you adopted my notion of all that I desired to own, and made me realize, oh yeah, that something was lacking. For the conclusion of my initial start, ooh, you're right, you're right. And for the unexpected and uncommon buddy, ooh, you're right, you're right. You are something I would never select because of the way you. However, there is also something I don't want to lose. And I don't want to ever be without. After catching Sakura in her bridal style, Naruto spun her around a couple more times before allowing her feet to touch the ground once more. The best thing I didn't realize I needed is you. So I didn't know when you were here? The best thing I didn't realize I needed is you. It's so obvious now that I need you here at all times. My unintentional joy. From then on, your grin and your ability to reassure me with your chuckle. You weren't in my book, I must say. However, if you open it up and look at it today, you are each chapter's start and finish. The best thing I didn't realize I needed is you. So I didn't know when you were here, when you were present. You are the greatest thing I didn't realize I needed, that I required. It's so obvious now that I need you here at all times. It's so obvious now. Sakura sighed happily as they kept swaying to the music as Naruto twirled her out and back into his arms, encircling her waist from behind. I had no idea that I might be who knew I might be. So surprisingly, unquestionably happy. This is me sitting next to you right here. You're the greatest, girl. The best thing I didn't realize I needed is you. Said I had to? So I didn't know when you were here? When you were present? Said I didn't know? The best thing I didn't realize I needed is you. That I required. It's obvious now that I need you here at all times. It's so obvious now. I need you always. It's so obvious. It's so obvious now. I need you here at all times. After the song ended, Sakura and Naruto halted their dancing and noticed that each other's eyes were captivating. Sakura watched as the stars shone in Naruto's ocean blue eyes, and Naruto watched as they twinkled in her emerald green ones. Naruto leaned in and gave her a passionate kiss on the lips, to which Sakura gratefully returned. Naruto then grabbed her ass, causing her to groan, and he used his tongue to explore every inch of her mouth, exploring every crevice. While still panting, Sakura and Naruto separated to catch their breath and laid their foreheads on one another. Naruto grinned and gazed up at her, saying, "Sakura-chan!" Sakura grinned at him as she looked up. "Yes, Naruto-kun?" She put her legs around his waist for support as he lifted her up with a smile. "Did you know that you're the best thing I never thought I needed?" "No, but did you know that you're the best thing I never knew I needed?" Sakura said, blushing and kissing him on the nose. "No, but I kind of had a feeling while we were just boyfriend and girlfriend that we ended up being the best thing that we never knew we needed," Naruto said, kissing her forehead before responding. "Sakura-chan, you are everything that I could ask for and more, and I am glad that you are my wife." "You're all the happiness that I could ever want in life, Naruto," Sakura said, blushing and kissing his jawline. "If it weren't for you defending and protecting me, I don't think I'd be here today. I'm grateful for your support, and I am happy that you are my husband," Sakura said, and they kissed passionately once more before they parted ways for air. "You know, we should call it a night. We've got a honeymoon to get to, and we've got to get out of here before it gets too late," Sakura said. Naruto agreed, carrying Sakura on his back as they headed to the reception party. The newlyweds were staying at a beautiful reserve that Captain Yamato had made especially for them. Shizune, Ino, Hinata, and Tsunade had placed a sealing barrier around the reserve to prevent Rouge ninjas from entering and interfering with their 2-week vacation. The house was 1 story with a large front porch, and inside there was a large living room. To the right of the living room was a kitchen, and to the left was a dining room. Sakura found a sign that read, "Home Sweet Home," near the window above the sink in the kitchen and grinned. While Naruto was busy searching the cabinets for food, he jumped with delight when he discovered that someone had been considerate enough to stock his favorite breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack in the world, ramen. Sakura opened the refrigerator and discovered that, in addition to fish and other meats, there were frozen vegetables, pudding cups, applesauce, jelly, fruits, eggs, sausages, bacon, and other practical groceries in the refrigerator section. "Yes! Something I can really prepare," Sakura exclaimed with delight, turning to face Naruto, who she caught like a deer in headlights as she boiled some water to make him a cup of ramen. "Naruto?" Sakura said sweetly. This voice always scared Naruto, though. "Yes, ma'am?" With hesitation, he said, "My dear, what are you doing with that water?" Before coming up with a convincing response to give his wife, Naruto spent some time observing the water in the pot. Sakura approached him just as he was about to commit suicide from his excessive stuttering, so he retreated into the stove and squatted down to shield himself from his punishment. Sakura grabbed a cup and added more water to the pot, which shocked him. What shocked him more, though, was that the stove was apparently off in the first place. Sakura turned the stove on and turned to face her husband, laughing when she saw how terrified and frightened he appeared. "Oh, babe! Did you really think I would prevent you from overindulging during our honeymoon?" Sakura groaned. "I'm sorry for getting mad at you earlier," Naruto said, as he slowly got up and joined his wife beside the stove. "Well, you kind of made a big deal about me wearing those ramen boxers at the wedding, so I decided to try and sneak some ramen on our honeymoon," Sakura said. No, everything is perfectly okay." Sakura chuckled. "I simply thought that because the honeymoon is meant to be a time for relaxation and other things, I'd try to cut down the ramen since you detest it so much." "What?" "No, I don't detest ramen. I just think it's strange that you eat it often. It's also not particularly helpful in reality." "I'm sorry. I guess it's just a habit of me being a medical ninja and your wife," Sakura said, opening her eyes to see Naruto giving her the "You've gotta be kidding me. Look." Naruto grinned and slapped her ass, saying, "Don't worry, babe. I'm not the only one who pigs out." Sakura blushed from his smack and his words. "What do you mean?" A few weeks after they moved in together, Naruto discovered her little midnight snack habit, which he thought was pretty cute. "Don't think I don't know about how you'd always wake up in the middle of the night to go rumbling through the fridge looking for sweets at home," he said, wriggling his eyebrows at her. Sakura blushed in embarrassment. No, that's not. Why the hell were you up that late?" Sakura watched as Naruto took out the ingredients to make some Mitarashi dangos, her mouth watering until her thoughts returned to their conversation, and she shook herself out of it. "Well, I always get up to get my midnight ramen," Sakura said, kissing his hot-tempered wife on the forehead and grabbing her by the waist to get her out of the way. They why on earth did you not say anything then when you caught me? She asked. The blonde Hokage stepped around his wife to continue preparing their meal and kissed Sakura on the jaw. No, I'm pretty sure you're the mean one, Sakura-chan, said Sakura, rolling her eyes and taking out the ingredients to make green tea. Naruto grinned and said, because I valued my life more back then, I couldn't let you kill me before I married you. Sakura growled and said, that's kind of mean, Naruto. By the time they finished their meal, it was approximately 11 o'clock at night. They were strolling around their patio in the backyard, which they had just discovered had a waterfall. Sakura grinned and said, I think that I'd live out here. It's nice, and it's not in the middle of everything. We can both use the teleportation jutsu to get to our jobs, so that shouldn't be a problem. Well, you have that and your father's teleportation kunai. Naruto grinned and twirled one around on his finger. I put one in your doctor coat too. That way, if I sense anything going wrong with you, I'll be right by your side lickety-split. Additionally, I have no problem living here. My parents also left the village while my dad was the Hokage, so I suppose that makes sense. Sakura smiled and snuggled closer into her husband's warmth. They were now sitting around a fire in the fire pit on their patio. Sakura picked up a strawberry from her plate and fed one to her husband. These are going to be my new favorite fruits, Sakura-chan. When he took the one she was about to put in her mouth, Sakura snarled and crossed her arms, pouting. NOFA-. She was interrupted by a pineapple being shoved into her mouth, and she chewed and swallowed it while glaring at her husband, who was laughing at her pouty face. Damn it, babe. I won't be able to tell when you're serious or not if you keep up that face. Sakura snarled before jumping into Naruto's lap and knocking his fruit plate to the ground. All right, that's it. Oh no. What a bad girl. Now you're going to bed with me. Sakura laughed as he placed her on the bed in their bedroom and hovered over her. You know, I can't tell when you're serious either, Sakura said, reaching up to stroke his whiskers. And I love this. Naruto purred. Sakura had been carried into their honeymoon reserve. And here you are, my sweet little cherry blossom, one of the world's top medics, a rare wielder of the strength of 100 sealing marks, one of the most strongest female warriors I've ever seen in my life, mere liquid in my hands, Sakura yelled as Naruto started to grab her butt and kiss her neck. You look so cute when I pet your whiskers. Here you are, the 7th Hokage, savior of the world, Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox spirit, just mere putty in my hands, Sakura exclaimed. You are the one challenging me, but if you so wish to tango with this bad boy, then bring it on, Mrs. Uzumaki. Naruto slapped her ass and gave her a deep kiss on the lips. Sakura growled as they began a fierce tongue battle for dominance, which Naruto easily won. Sakura then flipped them over so that she was on top. Is that a challenge, Mr. Uzumaki? Sakura was enjoying her day off from the hospital. She had recently been promoted to head medic 3 years prior, and Murphy's Law had been by her side ever since. She was accustomed to seeing dead bodies and infected people who had been sliced and diced, but not to the extent that she would see nearly 70 a day. Sakura sat on the edge of her patio and let her feet dangle into the water below. She took a deep breath and sighed, allowing the calm to calm her mind. In fact, she hadn't seen many since the 4th Great Ninja Battle. She had previously established hospitals for the mentally sick following the battle, and now she was the head medic at the hospital in Leaf Village. She felt aging. She looked at her wristwatch and said, 7:45, eh? Sakura had a daily routine and was aware of every minute of it. Yes, she is that responsible. She inhaled deeply with her nose and slowly exhaled through her mouth. 5. She removed both of her feet from the water. 4. She rose slowly to her feet on the patio. 3. She extended her weary legs and arms. 2. She heard the rear door close as she turned around. 1. Mommy! Hello there, Sheena. How was your day today? Sakura said, reaching out her arms to prevent a running little boy from knocking her backwards into the waterfall behind her. The boy pulled away from his mother and started jumping up and down like the hyperactive child he was. It was awesome. Kakashi-sensei taught us some cool ninja tricks. My friends, Mana and Hariko, are so awesome. Well, Mana is mean and scary, and she doesn't talk to me and Hariko very much, but when she does, she is bossy. But Hariko, he's so awesome. He as a dog can do tricks. Do you want to see my shuriken tricks, Mommy? Oh, and Daddy took me to his office after he picked me up from the academy. Daddy is so cool. I want to be like him when I grow up. Oh, do I see another little Uzumaki Hokage? Sakura turned to see her husband approaching them with a big smile on his face. Hi, honey, Sakura said sweetly as he kissed her on the cheek. Daddy! Shinachika leaped into Naruto's arms and said, "Whoa there, big guy! You've been with Daddy for a while. Don't you want to go play with Mommy?" He dragged both of his parents out to a large tree close to their home. Look, look, I'm going to throw ninja stars at the bad guys. He had carved a few shuriken/kunai target carvings on some of the trees. He confidently retorted, and his snotty attitude from you. You want to repeat Naruto Uzumaki? Sakura clenched her fists. Hey, and he gets his strength from you, she said, making sure she didn't punch him too hard so that he flew into any trees. This is your fault, Naruto grunted as he slowly stood up. My fault? I just kicked your ass fair and square, and him calling me strong is my fault. You should watch how you speak about your wife, and maybe it wouldn't have happened, Sakura said, turning away from him. Mommy say a bad word. I need money, she said, looking at her son as if he were insane. And who told you that, Sheena? Sakura asked, looking at her son as if he were insane. When Shinachika pointed over her shoulder, Sakura turned back. You know the rules, Sakura-chan. No swearing in front of our child. You should watch how you speak in front of your kid more, Sakura said, rolling her eyes and giving her son $2. I'm going to fix dinner. You two boys play nice now, she said, stomping Naruto's toe on the way to the house, which caused him to swear rather loudly. That was loud. I need $7, please, Shinachika gasped. Naruto glared at his wife as she laughed her way to the house, holding her stomach as if she had just witnessed the funniest thing ever. Vixen! Naruto growled, repaying his debt and continuing to teach him his shuriken throws. After supper, Sakura used this time to sit outside on the patio once more while Naruto went to make sure Shinachika didn't try to use teleportation jutsu by flushing himself into the toilet. She reflected on her entire life, including how she finally came to terms with Naruto's love for her and began giving it back to him, how they used to go on dates before they were formally dating, how she hurt him by pleading with him to bring Sasuke back, how she tried to do the impossible by relieving the burden she placed on him, how Sasuke returned to the village and Team 7 was reunited as one. 16 years old, Sakura said, smirking at the irony of it all. Yamato's predictions, Sai's predictions, Kakashi's predictions, Hinata's predictions, Sasuke's predictions, and even Tsunade's predictions, all of them and everyone who believed in them had been right all along. She recalled Yamato's words, how he could tell that just by looking at her, he knew that she loved him. She loved him, and was upset with herself for taking so long. Loved by Naruto, Sakura stood and accompanied her husband into their home to tuck their child in, saying, "Hey babe, Shinichiku wants you to tuck him in." "Happy birthday, Shinichiku," the parents said as they turned off the lights in their son's room and went to their own room to sleep. Sakura lay down and snuggled deep under the warmth of her covers, thinking about the miracles in her life that she would never have imagined happening in her lifetime. Yes, their child, the child that was a mixture of their DNA, the child that they spent time producing, the child that she carried for 9 months in her womb, and the child that she delivered on this day, November 7th. "I never would have imagined that I would become the #1 hyperactive knucklehead ninja of Konoha. I never would have imagined that I would be friends with him. I never in a million years imagined that I would wish to give my life to keep him safe. I never in a million years imagined that I would wed him. I never in a million years imagined having his children." "Baby, you all right?" Naruto said, concerned since she hadn't answered him in a short while and hadn't switched off her lamp. Sakura looked up and said, "HM? Oh yeah, I'm fine. Good night to you too, Akira Uzumaki," Sakura said as she switched off the lamp and allowed her husband to spoon her. Naruto leaned over his wife and gave her a gentle peck on the lips before bending down to her stomach. "I never in a million years imagined falling in love with Naruto Uzumaki.